Welcome back, horror enthusiasts, to another chilling tale that will send shivers down your spine. Have you ever wondered what secrets the earth might be hiding just beneath your feet? Imagine a place where the very ground you stand on could pull you into a centuries-old nightmare. Today, we delve into the mysterious and terrifying history of a medieval church where something sinister lurks beneath the ground. But before we begin, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a story. And if you're as obsessed with the paranormal as I am, drop a comment with your own eerie experiences. I might just feature them in my next video. This is the story of St. Wulfram's church in the remote village of Blackmoor, a place where the past and present collide in the most terrifying way. Over the centuries, the church has been the center of countless ghost stories, but none are more terrifying than the one I'm about to share. So sit back, turn off the lights, and let the darkness take over. St. Wulfram's church was built in the early 12th century, its tall spire piercing the sky, a beacon of faith in an otherwise godless land. The villagers of Blackmoor were devout, but they were also superstitious, believing in the power of the old gods and the spirits of the earth. For years, the church stood as a symbol of hope and protection, but that all changed one fateful winter. The legend begins with the arrival of a stranger, a man who called himself Brother Matthias. He was a monk, or so he claimed, traveling from the far reaches of the kingdom. He was gaunt, with hollow eyes and a voice that seemed to echo with an unnatural resonance. The villagers welcomed him with open arms, offering him food and shelter within the church. But from the moment he arrived, strange things began to happen. Animals started disappearing, and the once clear waters of the village well turned murky and foul. The villagers whispered that Brother Matthias was cursed, that he had brought something with him, something evil. But the church's priest, Father Dominic, dismissed these claims, insisting that Brother Matthias was a man of God. One night, as a snowstorm raged outside, Brother Matthias approached Father Dominic with a request. He wanted to be shown the crypts beneath the church, where the bodies of the village's ancestors were laid to rest. Father Dominic hesitated, but Brother Matthias was insistent, his eyes glowing with a feverish intensity. Reluctantly, the priest agreed.
Together, they descended into the crypts, the cold stone steps echoing with each footfall. The air grew thick with the scent of decay, and the flickering candlelight cast eerie shadows on the walls. As they reached the bottom, Brother Matthias began to chant in a language Father Dominic did not recognize, his voice rising and falling like a dark hymn.
Suddenly, the ground beneath them began to shake, and a deep, guttural growl echoed through the crypts. The candlelight flickered wildly, and Father Dominic's heart raced as he saw the ancient stone coffins begin to shift, as if something inside was trying to get out. Terrified, he turned to Brother Matthias, but the monk's eyes were fixed on the ground, his chanting growing louder and more frenzied. Then, with a deafening roar, the earth beneath them split open, revealing a dark, gaping chasm. From within, a hideous creature began to emerge, a monstrous figure wrapped in rotting shrouds, its eyes glowing with an unnatural light. The ground shook violently as the creature clawed its way out, its rotting flesh sloughing off in chunks. Father Dominic fled up the stairs, his prayers turning to screams. He burst into the nave of the church, shouting for help. But when the villagers arrived, they found nothing but an empty crypt and a single stone coffin that had been shattered into pieces. Brother Matthias was gone, and so was whatever had been buried beneath the church. What do you think was really lurking beneath the ground of St. Wulfram's? Was Brother Matthias really a monk, or was he something else entirely? Let me know your theories in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. And if you've ever encountered something terrifying in a place you thought was safe, share your story below. I might just feature it in my next video. In the days that followed, the village of Blackmoor was consumed by fear. The ground around the church grew cold and barren, the grass turning brown and withered. At night, strange lights could be seen flickering in the windows of the abandoned church, and the sound of unearthly howls echoed through the village. The villagers knew they had to do something, but they were too afraid to enter the church. Instead, they sought the help of a renowned exorcist, Father O'Connor, who had dealt with similar hauntings across the kingdom. When he arrived, he immediately sensed the evil that had taken root in St. Wulfram's. Armed with holy water, sacred relics, and an unwavering faith, Father O'Connor entered the church alone. He could feel the darkness pressing in on him, the cold air biting at his skin. The once grand nave was now filled with shadows, and the air was thick with the scent of decay.
As he approached the entrance to the crypts, he began to recite prayers, his voice steady but strained. The ground beneath him rumbled, and the door to the crypts creaked open, as if inviting him in. Father O'Connor descended the steps, his heart pounding, his hands gripping the rosary tightly. The crypts were dark, Save for the faint glow of his lantern, the walls seemed to close in around him, the air growing colder with each step. As he reached the bottom, he saw the chasm that had been opened by Brother Matthias, its edges lined with jagged rocks. The ground was still trembling, and from the depths of the chasm, he heard a low, menacing growl.
Suddenly, the creature emerged from the darkness, its eyes glowing with a malevolent light. It was larger now, its body twisted and deformed, its skin hanging in loose, rotting folds. It let out a deafening roar, and the crypt shook with the force of its rage. But Father O'Onor stood his ground. He raised the crucifix, shouting prayers of exorcism, his voice filled with conviction. The creature recoiled, its glowing eyes narrowing with fury. It lunged at him, but Father O'Onor held firm, splashing holy water onto its decaying flesh. The creature howled in pain, its body writhing as the holy water burned through it. Father O'Onor continued his prayers, his voice growing louder, more commanding. The ground beneath them shook violently, and the walls of the crypt began to crack. With one final roar, the creature was engulfed in a blinding light. The ground beneath it gave way, and it was swallowed by the chasm, its howls echoing as it was pulled back into the darkness. The earth trembled for a moment longer before falling silent, and the crypt was filled with an eerie stillness. Father O'Onor collapsed to his knees, his body trembling with exhaustion. He knew that the evil had been banished, but he also knew that the church was forever tainted by the darkness that had taken root there. Now, I want to hear from you. What would you have done if you were in Father O'Onor's shoes? Would you have had the courage to face the evil lurking in the crypts? Or would you have fled like Father Dominic? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to share this video with your friends who love a good scare. And if you've got a paranormal story of your own, send it in. I'm always on the lookout for terrifying tales to feature on the channel. After the exorcism, the villagers decided to seal the crypts permanently. They filled the chasm with blessed stones and covered the entrance with holy symbols. The church was left to crumble, abandoned by the villagers who no longer dared to set foot near it. But even as the church fell into ruin, the stories continued. Travelers passing through Blackmoor reported seeing strange lights flickering in the windows, and the sound of unearthly whispers carried on the wind. Some say that on the darkest nights, when the moon is hidden behind the clouds, you can still hear the ground rumbling beneath the church, as if something is trying to claw its way back to the surface. The village of Blackmoor is long gone, its inhabitants scattered to the winds. But St. Wulfram's church still stands, a crumbling relic of a dark past. And though the ground may seem still and silent, those who know the legend believe that the evil that was unleashed centuries ago still lingers, waiting for the day when it can rise again. So would you dare visit St. Wulfram's church, knowing the horrors that lie beneath, or would you leave it to the ghosts of the past? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget, if you've had your own brush with the paranormal, I want to hear about it. Your story could be the next one featured here on the channel. Stay tuned for more terrifying tales, and remember, in the world of the supernatural, the ground beneath your feet might not be as solid as it seems. Thank you for joining us on this terrifying journey into the past. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more real-life horror stories and paranormal investigations. And now, we want to hear from you. Have you ever experienced something paranormal? Share your story in the comments below, and we might feature it in our next video. Remember, some places are better left unexplored. But if you're brave enough, we'll be here to guide you through the darkness. Stay safe, and until next time, beware of what lurks in the shadows.